Just dropped off the dog to the Furshire, which is like a doggy day camp type thing. I'm not going to let him be in his kennel again. I'm actually heading into work, Unlimited Performance AZ, Avondale, because I can't not train my clients for more than 3 days in a row. Plus Court's doing good right now. I don't know if it's good the way we want it to be, because we want him to have seizures. I'm a little bit worried about what the possibility is of how aggressive his seizure might be if he does have one now. So anyways, they haven't told me what the med situation is yet. I'll get an update from the wife soon. But the next time you'll see me, I'll probably throw in a little bit of what training's looking like at the gym with the clients, and then on my way to the hospital, or if I get an update on his meds. Thanks for watching. Good, shoulders down. Really squeeze the tricep hard, push into it, flex it. Gotta flex it at the top. I just picked up Chan from the little play area or whatever you want to call it. It's huge, a massive building. He's awfully excited, had a great time, looks like. Worn out a little bit, so won't feel so bad about leaving him in the house. But yep, heading to the hospital right after this. Yeah, and so the update from the wife is that he still hasn't had a seizure. He seems very exhausted. He slept really good last night, but he looks tired in the face. He looks like he's sick of being in there. It looks like he's, just like me, I said it exhausts me to be in the hospital. He's acting the exact same way. He hasn't had a seizure yet, so they just they removed all of his medication so far this morning, and they were just gonna remove all of one of the other medications. And just give him the one, because he was on 3 different medications. Also, his IV got clogged, and he's a really hard, anybody that's watching this video probably has a son or a daughter that has some of these issues, and one of his main issues is that he's extremely hard poke. Like, to get an IV in him is extremely hard. Most people that aren't very talented phlebotomists, IV teams, and so on, cannot get him without a ultrasound. And so they did get him without an ultrasound in a new vein that they found in his hand. But guess what? 2 days in, it clogs up. And they've been doing IV flushes on every single 6 hours on him, and it's still freaking clogged up. So guess what? They call in the IV team, and it's been 5 hours and the IV team hasn't shown up yet. So yeah, now we're in a situation where if he does have a seizure, they don't have an IV to use. And no matter how much the nurse calls him, and we get pissed off and tell him to call management or whatever, they're not showing up. So if they screw up at PCH and something happens and they don't have an IV and they're not able to do it, that, it's just one of those things where there's just absolutely no excuse for something like that when you have a very at-risk, patient that has shown so many signs of these issues in the past, not only at PCH, but at Banner hospitals. There's no excuse. So this is the kind of stuff you're going to deal with, and I don't know how else to say it, but the medical community, you have to 100% as the parent be the best advocate for your child, because I don't feel like the medical community is the best advocate for your child. They're doing their job, and I hope to the best of their ability, but you got to remember that you're the one that goes home with that child. You're the one that takes care of them every day. You're the one who has been up late nights. You've been the one that's had to deal with hospital trips. You've been the one that's had to, in my case for sure, you know, breathe oxygen in back to life, bring them back to life through oxygen therapy, and you know, ripping food out of the back of their throat because they're having a seizure and choking on the food, and you bang on the back of their back and it just doesn't come out. You know, there's things that you do, you know, G-tubes being ripped out by them, and then you having to like hold it and get a G-tube ready, and you know, all these things all on your own. They don't deal with that from your child. You are the one that has to deal with that. You need to 100%, you know, take control as best as you can and make sure that they care just as much as you do. Because the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter, whatever happens to your child while this is going on, they don't go home with your child. You go home with your child. Or don't go home with your child. So 100%, I'll keep you guys updated on how things are going, but the way things are looking, today might be the day that he has a seizure. The problem is I don't know how prepared they really are for the situation. I don't know if they are as prepared as they need to be, but I'll keep you guys updated on it. So I'm rushing upstairs right now. He's seizing. My wife just texted me. They still haven't fixed his fucking IV, of course. It was 5.5 hours since she told him that it wouldn't flush, and they still haven't fixed it. So now if they need to use an IV, they can't.
I can do the one up here, but I need to get him down.
Get him down and then I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, empty room now. And I gotta get everything out of here now, going to the ICU.
Do a tight squeeze on your leg, okay? No owies though.
All right, so he's awake, but you can tell he's not really awake. This is him trying to sit up and manage himself. Post-seizure. You know, 3 different rescue meds needed to be administered. And yeah, he's not really happy. But we got a lot of data from the EEG. And yeah, so we kind of got a small plan moving forward. We'll just see how he does. We're in the ICU now, and just trying to get him to recover. Yeah. Well, hanging with mama. Still not all there, but at least he's able to just kind of chill and watch some racing that he loves. There's a scan going on. For the most part, calm waves, since he's drugged up. ICU time. Back from the hospital. I'll give you guys like a detailed version of what went down during his seizure and stuff. Just finishing walking up the dog. It's a little bit, it's like 9:15 at night. I got clients at 6:30 in the morning. Nothing like coming home to a bunch of dishes though. But hey, guess what? Gotta get them done. Because wifey's in the hospital with the son. Even though I got clients first thing in the morning, went drop off the dog straight to the hospital, straight to managing my son's seizure. Got home to walk the dog, straight into dishes, make my food. That's just what it takes to have a special needs son. Try and be a great dad. Try and be a great husband. Try and be a great competitor. Just what it takes. So I'm not bitching about it. I'm just saying, if you want to be great at everything you do and try and manage situations like 5-day EEGs, you got to have a great partner. And thank my wife for that one. Love you very much. And then you also on your end, man or woman, you have to be able to do whatever it takes, even when you're tired or when you, like today when I was at the hospital, I wanted to eat everything. Said I picked a salmon salad and actually I picked like a roll, but then responding to my son getting up from the bed because he's half out, half not, and wanting to fall off the bed, I dropped the roll on the ground, so didn't even eat that. But anyway, update here in a second. All right, so dishes are done. Omelet, spinach omelet with 1 yolk and then 7 egg whites is in there cooking. And here is the breakdown, okay? So I get to the hospital. He's going to take a nap. My wife was trying to put him down, and he falls asleep. They hadn't got the IV done. You heard all that. He has a seizure. She texts me immediately. I run to the elevator. I'm going upstairs. Over at this hospital, they'll call a code, which basically means somebody's dying. If you have to give them oxygen, if you have to bag them. My son always needs to be bagged when he has a seizure. Always. If he doesn't, it's like 1 out of, 50 seizures that, just randomly he'll be like, oh, recovers and comes out of it. But then almost always he'll end up having another one later on that day or the very next morning. So anyway, I run into the room. There's like 7 people in the room already. I got a little bit of footage of that. I put it in there earlier. But I can't get footage of them. You can't videotape anything going on in the hospital. You probably already know that if you're watching this video. But here's what you need to know as the parent or the patient or whatever, okay? Just previously. My son gets 7.5 milligrams of Diastat, which is it's like a diazepam Valium. All right. And, so he needs to get that much, if he's having a seizure. So theoretically, depending on how much rescue someone's getting, the rescue pretty much needs to be administered all at one time. So my wife and I assumed that when they got the rescue amount, it was all going to be given to him at one time. Now, it's a rectal administration. Okay, so that means it has to go in there. You have to put lube on it. We do this every single time that he has a seizure, or almost, probably 97% of the time. If we're extremely lucky, he doesn't have a seizure that he needs it, which is extremely lucky. So it's not the average, not the norm. Now, we deal with these type of things all the time. So they did call the code. All right, they called the code. When I got in there, the lady was just coming out telling, some of the people running in that, hey, kind of take the code away. He's stable. Well, when I got in there, he was seizing. He wasn't necessarily stable, but obviously he was getting oxygen. He was getting bagged. Well, I'll go into the Diastat part. So it took him forever to get the rescue meds. Even the nurses were complaining, I don't know why we don't have this in our drawers. So even though we told them that no longer than 3 minutes of him seizing, then he needs his meds, they still didn't have it ready. So I repeatedly said, where are his rescues? Where are his rescues? You guys got to remember that you need to be the general in charge of what's going on, because you're the best advocate for your child. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I know exactly how to handle these seizures, and so does my wife. We've been dealing with it now for 3 years with him. 100% of the time, we do not let him seize longer than 3 minutes before we start giving him his rescues. This was longer than 3 minutes because they weren't prepared. Then, when we get the rescues... Sorry, I got to cook this at the same time. This is getting late. It's already 9:46. I have clients at 6:30 in the morning, and I still have to shower. When we get them, there's three syringes of 2.5 milligrams of a rectal medication. Why in the world would anybody do that? Okay? So that means we have to shove this thing in my son's ass 3 different times to give him this medication. One of my biggest complaints I can't even believe that they would do this to anybody, let alone a 5-year-old special needs kid who can't control his seizures. Come on, man. So if you are in this situation, I hope you tell them when you get the rectals, hey, I need 1 syringe of whatever it is. Because, man, I hope it doesn't happen to you. That's the first time anything like that's ever happened to my wife and I. And I can't believe, and she administered the rectal. I was the one that was helping bag. I was the one that was holding his legs and maintaining his stability for when he was seizing and when she was administering the rectal, so he didn't, jerk and then cause some kind of anal damage. You know what I mean? Come on. So then she gets all 3 damn syringes in there. The other nurse puts the clonazepam or puts his oral medication rescue in his mouth. And actually he doesn't throw it up, which was amazing. And I was actually super happy about. But that during that time is when they did the IV. Now, what I could say is thank goodness, because they were 5.5 hours late getting a new IV in there since they found the plug. But the lady that did do it didn't need an ultrasound. I mean, she did a great job, got it into his upper foot area. Hey, hats off to him for doing that, because most people just can't do it. He's a real hard poke. But anyway, long story short on that one, I tell the neurologist, hey, what's going on? Like, why is the medicine taking too long? Why is the IV showing up like 5.5 hours late? What are you guys doing here? And then he takes me into the room and he shows me, he apologizes, but it was still frantic. He was still seizing, even though he actually looked like he wasn't seizing anymore. And this is another thing that might be beneficial if you're having some issues and they're recommending a 5-day EEG or some type of EEG. Where we thought he was actually coming out of the seizure, he was actually still dead into the seizure. And the doctor showed me on the EEG in his own office, those little screens I showed you. Well, he took me into an office and showed me his screen when everything was calm. And he's like, no, he's still seizing. He showed me the waves. He showed me how it's happening. And then they sent us to the ICU. And at that point, I was really mad because I said, aren't we in an epileptic floor? Isn't this what you guys do? Isn't this what you're supposed to be great at? And no, it's not true. Absolutely not. Don't believe it. Because they say, well, we handle a lot of stuff up here, including epileptic patients. But when they have a trach and they have to be bagged and they got a G-tube, and it's better off if they go through something like this to send them to the ICU. So you're basically, if you're in a situation like me, you're just one small step to just going to the ICU and not even being on the epilepsy floor. So that's something that's went down from this whole thing, is you're basically an ICU candidate. You're just like a one little episode going to there. And we handle these things at our house by ourselves every 2.5 weeks or so, or less. Or if we're really, really lucky, more. Because his seizures are very infrequent. It's just not, we don't know. And then he has a big one, So we do this at our house. And these people sent 14, 15 people in there at the hospital. And we're like, how do you do this at home? Well, we don't panic, and we got a lot of experience doing it and monitoring him. But 31 minutes was the length of his seizure based on, all the probes on his head and all the stuff. That's how long his seizure was. So, man, that's the one thing I'll say about the EEG, is that it actually tells you what's going on for how long. We had no idea it was that long. On top of that, we got information that it's coming from the right brain for sure, and that it's most likely very far in the back of the brain. So that's another real big part of this. So this part alone on this recording is already going almost 10 minutes. I have to stop. I'll give you an update on day 4 of what it looks like we're going to do in the future for him. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more videos and look out for part 4 coming up.